All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Transitional Champion Podcast. I, of course, am Dirt, your co-host, along with my cohort, standing somewhere in southern United States in an undisclosed location, a bunker deep underground. It is the nasty boy, Nathan Kennedy.
Oh, man, you let me in with them, too. Yeah, I had to go underground. You want to know why? Because it's official. Beefcake's in the Hall of Fame.
I know you had to go in hiding.
I had to. It's all my fault. I am the reason this has happened. So if you are not happy about this,
if you're not down with that, we got two words. Wait, no, actually,
I got multiple words for you. dirt@popculturenetwork.com. Send an email, and he can let me know.
Here, we're actually going to do this. We're actually going to. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, class of 2019. And they actually, I like how on SmackDown he was actually just referred to as the Barber. There was no Brutus, there was no Beefcake.
Wait, so
the Barber.
So he couldn't even get away from them shortening people's names, huh?
Yeah, no, they shortened his name as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, Brother Butai. Of course, the question is who's going to induct him. You would think it would have to be Hogan,
well,
right?
If it's true that they changed their format, they're not going to have anybody inducting anybody. It's just they'll probably play a video package, and then the inductee will come out and give their speech, which is supposedly condensed down to 15 minutes as well. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, if there was a year to do it, this is definitely the year. I want to hear him talk. His promos are bad enough.
I don't know. I'm happy in the worst way possible, just because I know how miserable it makes you, and so that because knowing how miserable I've been watching WWE, it makes me happy to know that you're miserable.
That kind of balances it out at least a little bit, right?
It does work. It does work. All right, we have a couple other pieces of news we're going to talk about real quick. I don't know if you've heard this, but Jim Ross to All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
He has signed a deal. I guess he's not doing commentary, or he may do commentary just for maybe some of the big events, but his role is going to be more of a backstage guy, doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, apparently somewhat similar to what Jim Cornette is now doing for Major League Wrestling.
Okay. So it's kind of like Jim Ross settling back into an old role that he had in WWE, because he used to be the head of talent relations, and
right.
That's kind of funny. Is that his Hall of Fame ring on his hand?
I believe it. I believe it is. I believe they blurred it out. So,
yeah. Interesting. I also heard that Justin Roberts is going to be the ring announcer for AEW. I'm not really too stoked about that, because I never really liked his announcing skills, especially with John Cena. He'd be like, and I just never liked Justin Roberts.
I don't know that I particularly like him or hate him. He's just kind of one of those guys who's there. So,
but I'll definitely like, if they hadn't said anything and I watched their event and then heard him, I'd be like, oh no, it would just break the glass for me. I'd be like, ah.
All right, we got another piece of news here with RVD. Now, okay, so originally RVD had signed a contract to show up at what are they calling it? Rival something? I forget what it's called, but it was supposed to be a one-time appearance, basically, for Impact. Okay. But as he sat down and talked to them, they talked about what he's going to do at the show, and then they talked about some of the things that they could do down the line if he wanted to make more appearances. They were very flexible with the scheduling, and basically he just decided it would work out. So he's been doing, random independent stuff. He hasn't been doing a lot of stuff, but he's been doing some stuff here and there. And he just said, having the flexible schedule, being able to spend more time with his family, made it a good deal for him, so he can show up, do a bunch of, tapings, and then have a lot of time off. And so he's decided he says the contract has an end date but it's written in such a way that they can put extensions onto his contract to extend his end date. So technically, he's just now under contract to Impact for the foreseeable future.
I mean, good on him. I'm sure they're paying him well. I know that, at least to me anyway, he's getting up there in age. So obviously he's slowing down. His style is going to change at least a little bit. His last run with WWE was kind of a little underwhelming. So good on him getting paid. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, you can't blame the guy.
I mean, it's not like I don't think.
And it's probably nice to have a regular contract. You know what I mean? As opposed to, you can book a lot of indie dates and whatever, but it's nice to finally be able to say, okay, I'm getting a guaranteed check from these people for this time.
Yeah.
So, all right. One last thing to talk about is that they officially announced the Cruiserweight Championship and the Battle Royals are going to be on the pre-show. So you can watch those on YouTube, or I think they're going to be broadcasting them on Facebook video and a Twitter live feed.
Yeah.
So they're going to be doing them in multiple places that you can find them out there. But yeah, so there you go. So Cruiserweight and the Battle Royals are not good enough to make the actual show, but the kickoff is at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific.
Wow. Oh man, a 6-hour show.
Maybe possibly 7.
Yeah, that's true, because with Mania it usually inches closer to
the
midnight hour. Yeah, I'm tired of the Cruiserweight Championship being on the kickoff show. Especially with the talents involved. Like the year that Neville and Austin Aries had their match, it was on the kickoff show, and it's just a bummer.
I also think part of the issue is when you look at something like this with the Cruiserweight Championship, you know that this is a match that 205 has been building for a while.
Yeah.
And it's going on the kickoff show, as opposed to the tag match for the SmackDown Championships with the Usos is something they just kind of threw onto the show at the SmackDown tapings this week.
Right.
So the match they've been building is going to turn out to be a giveaway, and the match that they threw together at the last minute is actually going on the show instead.
Yeah. I get the idea of having 205 Live as itself on the network, but honestly, I think it's time to look at it. You have a 3-hour Raw that you constantly have to fill the time on. Just put the Cruiserweights on there. I mean, I know that's what they were kind of doing at the beginning and people weren't really taking to it, but if you invest the time and make the people care, then
because they have to get familiar with it. When they're not familiar with the product and you're just kind of throwing it at them, they go, well, why should I care about this? You got to give them some time, you build it up, and then after enough time, people will start to like, oh, okay, I see what's going on.
Or be strategic about it. By this point, you kind of know which towns have hotter crowds.
True.
Put them out there when the crowd's hot and really into it, and I feel like it conveys that through the TV. That's why they wait to do a bunch of stuff like the night after Mania, because they know that the crowds are hot for it and whatever, and the general audience will see it and be like, "Oh my god, yeah, like that's really cool."
I mean, obviously, if you do shows like Philly, like Chicago, like
Corpus Christi,
Dallas, the Metroplex, some of those places that have been a lot more open to independent wrestling or have had long legacies of professional wrestling. St. Louis are going to be a lot more open to it, as opposed to just going to Bakersfield and throwing out the 205 guys. They're not going to care as much. But yeah, that's part of the problem. Oh, that even reminds me. Speaking of the problem of just throwing that stuff out and you got 3 hours to fill, apparently Fox wants a 3rd hour of SmackDown.
No, please, God, no.
And so here's the current plan is that the regular 2 hours of SmackDown will be on Fox Friday night, Fox prime time on the network. And then hour 3 will be on Fox Sports 1. And so the idea is the first 2 hours are more like your traditional SmackDown, a lot of angles and whatever. Then when they go to Fox Sports 1 for hour 3, that's when you're going to get like 2 half-hour matches or 3 20-minute matches. It's much more of a wrestling focused hour instead of having a lot of the angles and skits and video packages and whatever.
How was
but yeah, a third hour.
Well,
so
that's just a terrible idea anyway, because every week they're gonna have to be like, oh, make sure you join us on Fox Sports 1 for the final hour. How many people are gonna be like, all right, yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because people these days are too lazy to even change the channel.
Well,
to continue to follow something.
Part of the issue is with the current split that just happened with Fox, where 20th Century Fox, the production studios for TV, the production studios for the movies have all gone over to Disney, and now it's Fox Sports, Fox News, Fox Network. Because I think the network itself is still owned by that group. It's just the production facilities have gone to Disney. I don't know exactly how it works out, but because of that whole split, they want to draw more attention to the Fox Sports side because it's now a bigger pillar of their network setup, since they don't have the movie division anymore and all that stuff. But again, it's just an idea that's currently being tossed around. It's not something
I hope it doesn't take, because my God, do we need another hour of WWE programming every week? No.
We do not, but we also don't need a lot of these last minute ideas thrown around, because that brings us to this.
Yeah.
The female the women's title match is now a winner take all, which is a real winner take all after all. Because last week they had announced it was winner take all, but they hadn't changed the actual rules to the match. So the rules to the match were, you pin Ronda, you get that belt. You pin Charlotte, you get that belt. But they announced it as winners take all, and people were like, well, that's not winner takes all. That doesn't make any sense. Well, now they've officially changed it to an actual winner take all. So whoever gets the pin gets both belts. And the original idea, and see, here we go again to switching everything around, changing everything at the last moment. The original idea of putting the SmackDown belt on Charlotte was so that at the end of the night at WrestleMania, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley, the 4 horsewomen of NXT, would be standing tall at WrestleMania, each with a championship belt. And now that is out the window with this. And so this kind of brings up the idea of who is going to walk out of there with 2 women's championship belts at WrestleMania. To me, that almost feels like a boxing or UFC look more than a WWE look, which makes me wonder if Ronda has indeed extended her contract, that she will be winning and walking out with both titles.
I don't know. Ooh, WrestleMania might be unpredictable after all. I don't know.
I don't know that level of unpredictability makes it good.
Yeah,
but at least it's there.
I think it'll still go to Becky. I hope anyway. If not, the crowd is gonna crap all over it.
Yeah, so I've got a feeling it's got to be Becky, or there's going to be people throwing garbage in the ring.
I mean, think about where this storyline has gone and kind of where it has evolved to, especially with this Go Home Raw. What a mess. What a mess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, that's WWE 2019, right?
I mean, is the plan to basically just have an undisputed women's champion? And now we're not gonna have the 2 titles anymore.
No, apparently they are not going to merge the titles. It's going to be 2 belts.
Okay, so I guess that'll just be like when Kurt Angle was the European and Intercontinental champion. So whoever wins this will just have another match, another triple threat, and someone will win this title and someone will win this title.
Right. Or they'll make some dumb rule that because they have both belts, you only defend one on Raw and you defend one on SmackDown.
Or they'll do something even dumber and be like, well, you're a SmackDown superstar and you won't be able to defend this belt, so you're just going to have to relinquish it and it'll be vacant.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, that's probably what they'll go with.
Because that is the worst possible scenario out of all of them. All right. I guess let's go ahead and do Raw. We'll get to the mailbag, the question. We got an email we'll talk about later. But we will go to Raw. I will bring up real quick. We got a message from Willis Wheeler, who was at the Raw taping last night. He was right next to the announce table, actually, up by the entryway. And he said, during the break between the 8-women tag match, the little kids were cheering for Sasha and Bayley to give them each high fives. Bayley tried to get Sasha to do it, and Sasha would just stand there and rolled her eyes at Bayley. So Bayley made sure to go and give everyone a high five before the lights came back on after the commercial break. So I don't know if they're going to have Sasha turn on Bayley at WrestleMania, if they're trying to sow some kind of discontent here.
Yeah, they've been teasing that for what feels like 73 years. So, yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, and I mean, Sasha's never been, like, her whole thing was that she was an egotistical, like, I'm a legit boss, which is, I hated that whole thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but that very well, be something that they plant for WrestleMania. So thanks for sending that in, Willis Wheeler. And he did take a lot of pictures on his Facebook page. And Linda McMahon was actually there at the taping. I have to admit, I watched the Hulu version again because I couldn't make it through the regular show.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Linda made any sort of appearance.
No, not that I know of. No.
And again, I'll be using the notes from
someone else.
But yeah, I'm Steve Kahn at F4W Online. Figure 4.
Yeah,
I'm going to be using.
There you go.
But anyway, yeah. So I watched the Hulu version, and actually, I'm going to admit, and we'll talk about this as we go through the show. I did a lot of fast forwarding. So
yeah.
All right. So that was from Willis, and then, like I said, we had mail back later. Yeah, so I just popped open the chat room. There's Delvis78, which I know he's on Facebook. Del Short, I believe, is his name, on Facebook. And so he asked, are they unifying the women's championship? He also asked that. And it's no. As of right now,
that we know of.
As of right now, the plan is not to unify them. But again, things can change because, like I said, the original idea was just to have Becky beat Ronda, and then they threw Charlotte into it because Charlotte had nothing else to do, and then they decided to throw a title on Charlotte for no reason, and then they decided to make it winner take all. So at the moment, but until they actually ring the bell at the end of the match, things can change. I mean, they could be in the middle of the match, Vince can change his mind, tell the referee in the earpiece, and the referee can change the ending of the match. It's just that's how WWE is. And he's asking, why is wrestling so bad in WWE? The stories, the matchups, everything. It's well, no, I think the problem is really it's now TV people writing a show about wrestling as opposed to wrestling people writing a show that's on TV.
Yeah.
Because it has to be more. Vince has always wanted to do Game of Thrones with wrestlers instead of a wrestling product with some storyline elements. And I don't know why.
Yeah, you take the fact that they're publicly traded, so he has investors he has to answer to. You got like the PG rating, and I know most people are like, oh, I'll be TV 14 again. And I'm like, so maybe some language here and there would be good. And I think there was some this week, at least on SmackDown. But it's never going back to the Attitude Era.
Well, and here's the thing: like you don't need unprotected chair shots and blood in order to make it good and exciting. Like that's not the problem. And people look back and they go, but back then it was so exciting and it was cutting edge and whatever. Yes, but if you do that again, it's not cutting edge.
Yeah.
You can go watch ICP wrestling or Combat Zone wrestling.
That's why they're in the position they're in now, really, when you think about it. Like, they've had to go back so much that now most people are just like, oh, it seems boring now. Well, it's like, yeah, it's because there's not, like, tits all over your screen and a guy, like, crashing through stuff and getting hit in the head and thumbtacks in his face. You know, like it's
but
just
that's not really what makes it exciting, because
right.
wrestling existed for a long time before
Exactly.
that. A lot of people can do exciting stuff, you know, and the way people talk about NXT as being more of a pure wrestling show. I love Major League Wrestling. It's more of a pure wrestling show. There's ROH. It's more of a pure wrestling show.
Less time on all of those shows as well.
Yeah. So
that's the main thing. These shows are just too long. Way too long. There's so many different factors that come into play.
So Delvis is saying, I just caught Austin versus Jake Roberts, and the overall attitude is worse than now, but we need that back. I mean,
parts of it, yeah.
I can understand. I can understand the idea of WWE being the number one company, being that they want to, you know, corner the market on everything. They've got NXT, they've got 205. They could even split. If they wanted to split, they could do Raw as the men's and SmackDown as the women's division if they wanted to. I could see them doing an hour of hardcore again. I mean, the problem with ECW is that when they did ECW, it was ECWWE. It wasn't a different product. It started out trying to be different, but then they shortly gave up, and it just became basically the developmental territory. Yeah. It wasn't anything extreme in that sense. If they wanted to do an hour of hardcore wrestling and bring back some of those guys and do a lot more brawls around the arena and more tables and more chairs and more stiff and more adult storylines and maybe make it a network exclusive show or something like that, if they wanted to do that, they could, and that's fine, putting it under that big tent of WWE everything. But you don't need that to be what Raw is, to be what SmackDown is, in order to make those shows good again, because that's not going to make those shows good again. That's going to make you look at those shows and go, you know what? I've seen this before. I saw it in the Attitude Era. It was great in the Attitude Era. It's not the same. You can't do the Attitude Era with The Miz versus Bo Dallas. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to be the same.
Yeah. It's I don't think wrestling will ever like reach the heights of viewership and popularity like that again. Too much has just changed. I don't know.
Well, and even as much as they talk about wrestling being so popular during the Attitude Era, it was much more popular in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like it was a much bigger product when television was in its infancy. Pro wrestling was one of the big things that they would put on television. It sold televisions. It was one of those things people would buy it and put it in their house, but then the fads moved on. Like anything else, it had this high period, and then it just kind of, you know, worked its way back out. Wrestling worked up to something big in the Attitude Era because it was something different. It was new. It was exciting, but it was the companies versus each other. The Monday Night War was a much bigger part than the Attitude Era. People put, I think, too much into the Attitude Era as opposed to the idea that it was generally unpredictable because you had two companies trying to battle each other.
Yeah, and you didn't know who was going to show up where sometimes, because some guy would be on WWF television and then 2 weeks later he's in WCW. You're like, oh, wow, okay. Keep your eyes peeled on AEW. If they get that TV deal, maybe things will start to shake up and change a little bit, because competition brings out the best in Vince.
And I really hope AEW doesn't get a TV deal and try to go head to head with Raw. I think
I don't think their plan was to at all if they did.
Oh, yeah, and I don't think it is either. I'm just saying, I know somewhere there's a guy in a suit who thinks that would be a great idea.
Right.
And I don't think it would be.
Yeah. I would just be like Exhibit A Impact when they went to Mondays and went head to head. It was terrible.
It was like interesting the first week or so, and then you're just like, they can't compete. They can't go head to head like that.
Right.
All right. And then Delvis adds they should leave the fans wanting more instead of cramming everything down the fans' throats every week. And again, I agree. That would go back to putting more actual wrestling into those 3 hours, as opposed to like this. Like I said, I fast forwarded through the 90-minute version because there were only like 3 matches, I think.
Yeah.
On the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like it's your go home show to the biggest show in your company. And that's what you can do. That's the best you got. Man, and the way that it ended too, and I know we'll get into it, I'm like, that's how you ended the show? Baffles me.
All right. So let's talk about Monday Night Raw. And we're not going to go through every single bit of information through the entire thing, but we had Stephanie walk out. She said she was going to add herself to the Triple Threat Women's Championship match. Everybody booed. She said, of course, April Fools. She said it was winner take all. So it is going to be for both belts. And then she left, which was nice because then it was only like 3 or 4 minutes. You didn't have to sit and watch her talk for 20 minutes. And so that was a nice change of pace to have there. We had the next interview segment. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came down to the ring. Paul Heyman said that winner take all was a great way to describe the championship because Brock Lesnar would take everything Seth Rollins had to offer. Seth Rollins came out, blah, 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 blah. They talked. He got in Lesnar's face. He hit him with a low blow.
Yeah.
Lesnar attacked him. He hit him with another low blow. He stood over him, did a super kick and a curb stomp, held the belt over Brock Lesnar, and then left the ring.
I'm going to say Brock takes that curb stomp fantastically. I love the way he takes the curb stomp. Like he really just puts himself into it. He doesn't care. And that's good when Brock will let people get the shots in. He actually makes it look really good. I'll give him credit for that.
Well, and I gotta say, I tried. I went back and I was watching some old stuff on the network, and Paul Burchill, the pirate, used to do a curb stomp, and his curb stomp was terrible. He would like grab the guy's arm and hold him up. Oh, dogs! I hear dogs. He would like grab the guy's arm and pull it up, and then like put his foot on his head and try to do like this, jerk the arm up while stomping down on his head. It always looked really weird. It was unnatural. So I'm glad that Seth Rollins found a way to make that move work. At least the crowd was into this. They were excited for this. So whatever. But based on WWE booking rules, this means that Seth Rollins is going to lose at Mania.
I hope not.
Okay, so the 8-women tag match. This was actually not on Hulu. So I did not see this, but this was Sasha Banks, Bayley, Natalya, Beth Phoenix against Nia Jax, Tamina, and the Iconics. Let's see. So Beth Phoenix ended up driving Tamina through a barricade, which stunned all of her teammates. Her teammates just stood there instead of helping. So Peyton Royce went after her. Apparently, Beth Phoenix beat up Royce, hit the glam slam, got the win. Phoenix and Natalya stared down Banks and Bayley afterwards.
Yeah, they had like a face-to-face, and like Sasha and Bayley were standing in the ring like, yeah, we got the titles, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna take your belts.
And apparently Nia Jax did absolutely nothing in this match.
Probably for the best.
They showed Batista driving up in a Cadillac, went to commercial, came back, they did his promo. He did the thing where he didn't talk. He acted like he was going to talk, but he didn't talk. He looked down. He looked at the crowd. He looked down. He looked at the camera. He looked at the crowd, looked down. Then he pointed at the video screen. They played a video package of the feuds they had had in the past. And Batista, in it, he said one of the things is that Triple H has never defeated me.
Yeah.
And when they played that, they showed all the times that he pinned Triple H, including WrestleMania 21, I think it was.
Right.
Where he won the title. So then they go back to him live. He takes off his glasses. He looks in the camera. He says, Hunter, kiss my ass. And then he dropped the mic, put on his glasses, and walked away.
I love it.
So it was good.
Yeah.
Like, because having these two guys brawl and doing a pull apart is just
they're actually saving the interaction for the match itself. How about that? I feel like Triple H had some sort of, and granted, Batista's not there every week like everyone else has been, but it's nice. It's refreshing. And I'm sure Triple H had a plan in mind. It's like, yeah, we're not doing that. But his career's on the line, so obviously Triple H is going over, right? That's how it's going to work.
No.
It's the one thing in his career he hasn't done.
Well, I was going to say, Triple H, though, he has this thing about not winning at WrestleMania, and
his record is actually quite bad.
He's kind of like the opposite Undertaker. He did get the win over Sting.
Yeah, which that shouldn't happen either. I'm still bitter about that.
So either he's going to play up the fact that he never wins at WrestleMania, and that will become a thing for a future feud, or now that he's in charge, he just doesn't care and he'll beat Batista. I don't know.
Yeah, but see, like if he loses, his career's done. Dirt, he's done. He's retired. He's finished.
Oh, right.
So he couldn't use that in the future unless someone else brings him out of retirement.
I forgot about
totally
that dumb stipulation.
Yeah.
All right. So, question from the chat room. So, is this a redemption match for Triple H? Is that why Batista is so quiet? He knows he's losing.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe after all.
I'm gonna go with yes. So one thing in his career he hasn't done. He beat you over the head with that. So of course he's got to check that box. I mean, if he could somehow go back and get that win back from Ultimate Warrior when he got squashed years and years ago, I'm sure he would have done that too. If it was the Attitude Era, he would go and pull Warrior out of his grave and pin him or something.
We've got another message from the chat room. Triple H has really, really gaudy entrances at WrestleMania. Yes, he is terrible. I just can't. It used to be cool at one time, and it was just about like, I don't know, he would just come out looking so badass, and you know, maybe because you know, he would have I can't the giant mole on Lemmy Motorhead.
Oh yeah,
Motorhead there. You know, it was just kind of cool. But he started doing all this Conan stuff, and he had the Terminator stuff.
The Terminator tie-in was the worst.
So bad. But all right. So anyway, I don't know what is Triple H's entrance going to be at this show. I guess he's like because last year he had like the 4x4. They did the Conan Mad Max thing, I think it was. So I don't know what he would do this year. What's something that was cool like a year ago that he would have been building his entrance around for a whole year that's now going to be outdated, but he's still going to try to work it in, thinking it's hot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. Maybe he'll have Amy Schumer make an appearance for his entrance. All right. Next up was a match that was not on Hulu, which I probably would have fast forwarded through. This was a lumberjack match with Apollo Crews versus Jinder Mahal. They had basically all the people out there for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Of course, they had a graphic, which they did show on the Hulu version. They showed it probably a couple times during Raw, which focuses where you see the guys from Saturday Night Live on one side and Braun Strowman on the other, and then all the other geeks in the middle. So they're selling that match basically on the fact of watching Saturday Night Live guys get beat up by Braun Strowman.
You know what, I was thinking about it, and I think what'll happen too is, oh man, I really don't want to say this because I feel like it's gonna happen, but I feel that somehow the Saturday Night Live guys are gonna get Braun eliminated early. And then they're going to be forced out of the ring by him. And then you're going to spend the rest of the night of the show cutting to the back of them running away from Braun Strowman.
Oh, my gosh. And the problem is, I think you're right.
I think that's... Oh,
and then they'll get Adam Sandler to be one of the guys backstage that like they'll see Adam Sandler and try to hide behind him. And he'll be like looking around and Braun Strowman, where are they? And he'll do his little, I do not know where they have gone. And then Braun Strowman runs off and they come out, you know, and probably do all sorts of, Ben Stiller will be back there. And, you know, all those guys that always have to appear in the front row at the Raw taping when they're, you know, there you go.
Yeah.
It'll be those guys. Hey, with any luck, we'll get Rob Schneider back there and he'll be thrown through a plate glass window as part of the fun by Braun Strowman. Who knows?
I feel like he would just be like rummaging around for food.
Well, he's wherever Adam Sandler goes.
Yeah, that's true. He is the beefcake to Sandler's Hogan for sure.
Yeah, and the funny thing is though that's more Sandler than Schneider though. It's like when they were doing Big Daddy, Rob Schneider was supposed to show up for like this one scene, and then Adam Sandler just like told him don't leave, and they put him in a bunch more scenes. Like it wasn't Schneider trying to work his way into it; it was just Sandler being like, "Hey, hang out more, like don't go." So anyway,
don't go, brother.
So anyway, Cruz won in about 90 seconds. He posed with the trophy. Somehow this turned into a big brawl. Of course, it turned into this makeshift battle royal. And then Cruz ended up coming out on top of the makeshift battle royal.
So he's definitely not winning the battle royal.
Yeah. So they announced that Yolanda Adams will perform America the Beautiful at WrestleMania.
I don't know who that is.
I have no idea.
Cool.
Either. All right.
I'm sure she'll it'll be fine. Anytime they have had people to do that at the beginning of the show, it's always turned out well.
They brought out Kurt Angle. He came down to the ring to do a promo. He thanked everybody. He let them chant for a while. And then actually the ring announcer interrupted him and said that they have a video package. And I honestly think that he did not know this was happening.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But as I watched this video package, I went, oh, this is what they're going to play next year at his Hall of Fame induction, right?
He's already in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's already in the Hall of Fame. Okay, right. Because that's totally what this video was. That's right. That's why he came back, right? That's
yeah.
Because this is totally it cut back. It showed all these guys: Ric Flair, Randy Orton, John Cena, Steve Austin.
Yeah, they're like, Kurt Angle's one of the best.
So then they cut back to the ring, and Kurt Angle's like legit crying.
Yeah,
and he can't believe what's going on. So then Baron Corbin's music hit, and so of course the music hits, and so Angle's like trying to wipe, all the
and it has the opposite effect on the crowd, because when his music hits, they start crying.
They were all, and you could just hear the crowd was like, boo. They were like we don't like you, so we want to boo, but we don't want you to think the boos are getting you over as a heel.
Yeah, so we just want you to go away. Just go away.
So Corbin Burnson, he said the video should have been in black and white because it was ancient history. He said the man in the video wasn't the same man in the ring. Blah, 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 blah. So then he plugged his social media. He was saying, stop coming to my social media and saying all these things, which means he's trying to get everybody to come to his social media and say things.
Can we talk about Kurt Angle's shirt really quick, though? It's very confusing. It says, like, you suck, thank you, or something.
Yes, exactly. It was really, it's like a red shirt with a star in the middle and the two stripes. And then, at the top, it was like, you suck. And at the bottom, thank you. Or thank you, you suck, whatever.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, it's so dumb. I almost want to order one, to go with my Beefcake Hall of Fame.
Honestly, the dumbest wrestling shirt that I want is you've probably seen it, the APA one, where it says always pound an ass. I'm just like,
very confused.
Who thought this was a good idea? I need to look that up.
It was one of those, like, somebody had the idea and they went, that's dumb. Do you know what that sounds like? And then they went, no, wait a minute, go with it. Yes, that's perfect. Do it. All right, so Corbin wanted a match right then and there. Angle, he was like, fine, I'll fight you, whatever. Rey Mysterio instead came out. Rey Mysterio, he offered to get into the match instead of Angle, which is probably good because Angle has looked so bad these last couple weeks. I don't know what's going to happen at Mania, but
ends up ultimately being bad for Mysterio because he injured his ankle.
Well, he injured his ankle.
Well, that's what they're saying.
He was supposed to have a match with Andrade on SmackDown, but I think someone somewhere in the back was like, "Why are we doing a match with Andrade? Andrade's in the Battle Royal,"
which is also a shame.
Ray is facing Joe. So far they have not changed the match with Joe.
Dude,
so.
You know what? They should have held off doing those triple threats and 4-way matches for the U.S. title, and instead had that at Mania.
Yeah, well,
those guys would have had the potential to steal the show.
You got to kill a lot of time on TV. So anyway, they did a match. It wasn't very long. Rey Mysterio got beat. Corbin Burnson. Wait a minute. No, I'm trying to figure out. Did Corbin get the win? Yes, he got the win, right? Corbin Burnson got the win.
I honestly don't remember.
He grabbed Ray. He hit him with the power bomb cover. Right, I think 1, 2, 3. He got the win. But then he stood up and Angle was there and Angle kicked him, got him in the Angle Slam.
Yeah, his Angle Slam's looking awful these days. Like, just not good.
Part of the problem with Angle is that he's so old and broken down and whatever. Like, when he's out there, he's walking like
he can't like twist. He can't.
Like, if you remember WWE Raw on the Xbox, the original Xbox, they came out with that game, and every guy walked down to the ring like RoboCop. That's what he looks like. And the problem is Angle still wants to chain wrestle. He wants to go low. He wants to go high. He needs to just be stuck in that wrestler pose, in that He-Man pose. And then just the guys come at him and he'll flip them. He'll body slam them. The guys come at him, puts them in a headlock, flips them, does an angle slam, does a suplex. That's it. He only does like those 4 moves over and over. Maybe do a thing where he hits like 10 angle slams in a row, covers them 1, 2, 3. As long as he doesn't try to do anything.
Just turn him into Brock Lesnar. But, I mean, hey, he's only got 1 match left.
Right,
so.
It's his final match, so we'll see.
And I don't think unless they're swerving us. I saw the report that John Cena will be at the show, and they have his opponent in mind.
Right.
But they're not going to reveal who. I'm still hoping it's Angle, but I don't think it will be.
I'm still hoping it's R-Truth. All right, so they had Charlotte backstage.
That would actually be great. You're my childhood hero, John Cena.
Let's see. Okay, so they had Charlotte backstage. She did an interview talking about winning the title, blah, 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 blah. No one cared. They had the Revival. What?
I was going to say, it's funny on the match graphics when you had that pulled up with Charlotte, she still has that mole on her face. I'm surprised that they haven't like updated that picture.
Or at least photoshopped the picture to...
Here,
let me see if I'll pull it up here. Share. There we go. Yeah, so you can see she's still got the mole there. So it's
I'm saying no. When you go to the when you go to the one where it's just the triple threat, it seems like it's more prominent there. It's not as bad, but you can definitely see
it's
it.
Not. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. You can see it really, really prominent there.
Huh?
They need to take care of this one next.
Becky, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, you're. Let's just. Yeah.
What's up?
All right. So anyway, I forget what we were doing here. The Revival, Aleister Black and Ricochet. This one didn't seem like it went very long. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we messed something up here. The Corbin Burnson Rey Mysterio, the match wasn't right now. They announced the match for later in the night.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it wasn't here. So anyway, all right. So then we had the
that ended up being the main event.
Aleister Black versus Ricochet, and it was okay. I don't know. I kind of felt a little underwhelmed by this match. It got better towards the end. Once they went to the outside, towards the end, and started brawling a little bit more on the outside, it got a little more interesting. But I kind of felt like the first like 3/4 of it in the ring was just kind of like your standard TV tag match.
Also, why is it that the SmackDown tag titles can all of a sudden get a match on the card, but the Raw guys, the Revival, don't have a match on WrestleMania? How does that work?
You know what? Maybe they'll show up at NXT on Friday.
I mean, at least they'll be showcased properly. Given time to show what they can do.
All right,
terrible. So, put the titles on them and then like constantly have them lose and don't do anything with them. Fantastic. I love it.
They went backstage. They had Ronda Rousey. This whole thing was cut out of Hulu. Charlie talked something about how they were facing Judgment. Oh, no, they did show this on Hulu, and it was bad. It was really bad. Because, again, they had Ronda Rousey do some dumb line about they're going to face Judgment Day. And I was like, they're
cool.
bringing that pay-per-view?
Awesome.
Oh.
Always like that show.
But then they cut to Alexa Bliss talking to Tyler Breeze. EC3 was there. EC3 acted like he wanted to be anywhere else but in this promo, which is probably 100% true. Again, someone who's not being utilized correctly in WWE. They were laughing about stuff that happened on Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live, which of course brought out Braun Strowman, asked why they were laughing. And he said, those are friends down there, pointed down the hall. They said they were watching clips from Saturday Night Live of Weekend Update. So Braun Strowman walked down there, and there were two guys you've never seen before, local indie guys watching clips on an iPad. And Braun Strowman got in their face, said he's going to see him in the ring. He's like, you're going to be that guy, and you're going to be that guy, and you're going to get these hands. So great. We're doing a squash match with nobody to set up the Battle Royal.
Which, when you think about it, couldn't they have just packed their bags and just left?
That would have been better. Yes, actually, if it had shown them like throwing all their gear in duffel bags, running out, getting in a car to try to leave, and Braun Strowman like lifting up the car so they can't, like picking up the front or the back of it so the car can't go anywhere. And then like he'll pick it up and then like he'll drop it down and they hit the gas and they run into a wall or something, and then he pulls them out and smashes them. That would have been 1,000 times better than what we ended up.
I mean, it makes sense in that respect. Why would anyone be like, oh, well, I guess I have to go out there and face him now? No.
They cut to Roman Reigns. He was talking about how he's ready to face Drew McIntyre. McIntyre attacked him from behind. They came and tried to pull him apart. They pushed McIntyre away, and Reigns got up and decided he wasn't going to chase after McIntyre. They would just fight at WrestleMania. So whatever.
Gee, I wonder who's going over there.
Let's see. They talked to Becky Lynch, and she was talking backstage about how they keep trying to find ways to get her out of this match. Their opponents keep talking about how they want to make history, but she has no choice but to make history. She's playing this off as like this is her last hurrah. If she doesn't win this, then there's no point in her continuing with wrestling.
Oh, so she's going to retire too. Cool. Wheelers Wheeler, I'm going to give a shout out to you. Props to you for staying awake while you were there live. Because, I mean, really, with all the backstage stuff that you just have to watch on a screen, I would just be like, I could be doing this at home. I mean, I hope you had fun. It seems like you did. Apparently, you took a lot of pictures.
Okay,
but
so
I would be bored.
So next we got the half-hour segment throwback to an old Stone Cold angle. They did the 6-woman tag match. It was Ronda, Flair, and Becky against the Riot Squad. The idea was if Ronda, Becky, or Charlotte attack each other during the match, then they are out of the match at WrestleMania. So, of course, they have this match. They start like Charlotte tags herself in, and then Ronda tags herself in. And so they're all getting in each other's faces. They're pissed off, but they just basically tear apart the Riot Squad. They pin them. And as soon as the pin is over, then they all just start attacking each other and fighting. They bring down security to pull them apart. So they start attacking security. So out of nowhere, they have like a dozen cops show up. Which, why did they have a dozen cops just hanging around backstage at Raw? We have no idea, but they were there. And of course, they were all in brand new suits with freshly pressed shirts, rubber radios. I mean, this looked like they went to the costume store. They got plastic badges. They got plastic nightsticks. Some of them had the utility belts, and like some of the side packs like weren't snapped shut all the way. They were just kind of open, and you could see they were empty. They weren't actually carrying any gear. Only like 3 of them actually had the handcuffs. So you could just see, all these police come down. And it was weird, just for an aside for a second. When we get later on, we see that there are only 2 cop cars backstage. So apparently the cops in Baltimore or wherever they were for SmackDown, or for Raw, the cops, they all arrive like clown cars in the circus.
Yeah.
So they just put 6 of them into a police car, bring them, and they all, pile out of the police car. But anyway, so the cops are getting in everybody's face, and Ronda like attacks one of the cops trying to get through to attack Becky. So then, of course, they throw her in the corner and they put the cuffs on her. So then Becky attacks Ronda while she's being cuffed. So then they go to cuff Becky, and Charlotte is just standing outside the ring going like these chicks are crazy. What's going on? So when the cops finally get him out of the ring, she goes to attack while they're in police custody. So then she gets handcuffed. So they're all being handcuffed, and they keep doing all this stuff where they keep trying to throw, kicks at each other, and they keep squirming away from the cops, and they roll to the ground and try to roll away and kick at each other while they're on the ground. And, it's just like all this like fighting and rolling around. And it was totally like stone cold, with the Zamboni being taken down by the cops, put in the cuffs, taken out in the car. And from that Raw, they were reliving.
Except not as cool.
It got to the point where it was like comical at how much it just kept going.
Yeah.
Like it just kept going.
The last half of this, when you get into it, is awesome. The first half, the setup took too long for the payoff.
Right. So anyway, they finally get him in the back. They throw him into a police car, and of course, one car says like Baltimore police, has the lights on top, has the grill separating the front and back seat. The second car is just a black car with some lights on top. And so you're like, I wonder if the second car is going to be gimmicked in some way. Let's see. So, of course, they put Charlotte in the first car. They go to the second black car. They put Rhonda in one side. They bring Becky around, put Becky in the other side. So the two of them notice that they're both backseat in this car. So they both lean back and start kicking at each other. And so the police officer in the front, he's like, ladies, stop. Ladies, stop. Doesn't like put his arm back there. Doesn't like spray anything at him. He's just like telling them to stop. So of course the camera pans to the back, and Rhonda kicks out the back window, and of course the pieces of frame that are there supposedly as part of the roll cage to hold the car together should it be in a crash, they get busted out too, so obviously this gimmicked window. But anyway, she kicks it out, and so they go and they pull them out of the cars. They go to take Becky to the other car. They open the door. Of course, Charlotte's there. Charlotte kicks and hits Becky. She jumps out. So again, they're all fighting again. If you've ever watched an episode of Cops or Live PD and you've seen like the trailer park beats downs, and it's like, all the thoughts are, coming at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exactly like, I'm watching this thing and I'm like, this looks so, all the people that talk about wrestling and trailer parks and low rent, and this just looks so much like that during this whole segment. It was, I don't know, it was fun. It was certainly entertaining. But yeah.
Well, my question is, because one of those cars, it's the gimmicked car, like hits the rear end of the other police car, and it turns out Rhonda had somehow gotten in there, cuffed, found a way to put it into drive, and then hit the gas to go forward. Because
when the cop got out, you see, because cops are so inept in the WWE universe, he didn't put it in park. He just left it neutral. So all she had to do was get in and kind of nudge it forward for it to roll.
But she did take a good spot when her head was hanging out of that window and Charlotte came and just like kneed her in the head. That actually looked pretty good.
So they end up getting Becky in the first car. They drive off. They get Rhonda in the second car. They drive off. And then they just leave Charlotte standing there because they realize they don't have a third car.
Yeah.
So, and then they went to commercial. So the note here, this is from F4W Online. It says, it won't make any logical sense that these women will all be allowed to wrestle on Sunday.
Yeah.
Considering all the times that
all the charges,
like what? Remember the whole thing where Becky was facing charges from being at a show, and she had to, the police were keeping her from coming to the arena and whatever. And now it's just like they attacked the cops, like that's why they were being put into the car, not because they were fighting with each other, not because they can't have their hands on each other before the show. They were put in police cars because they attacked the police.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll address it on Mania. Give some sort of.
I mean, the only thing I can see, and this I would have to give them credit for this, is if they come to the show, they open the pre-show and they say
they're still in jail in Baltimore.
Well, they'd say they are still in police custody. We've been able to have them transferred to the local police here, but we cannot get them released because they are still facing these charges. It would take nothing short than a presidential pardon, and then you would have Hall of Famer.
No.
Donald Trump appear on the screen to give a pardon to the women so that they can have
that would be so stupid and almost
it would
that's kind of brilliant though.
Yeah, like I said, it would be totally dumb, but it would be it's like it would make sense to WWE logic in the storyline. He is a Hall of Famer for WWE. It does get rid of the charges. But yeah, I mean, it's like they're probably not going to bring it up. They probably won't say anything. They'll have him post on Instagram. Just made bail on my way to fan access.
If they haven't done that already.
Right, exactly. So I don't know.
That's actually kind of brilliant. Props to you, Dirt, on that.
Thanks. All right, so next we had Heavy Machinery versus Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
Former Raw Tag Team Champions, by the way.
Yeah, and it went 3 minutes and it was nothing. And again, these are guys in the Battle Royal, so this match really didn't lead to whatever.
And who won that match?
Was it Tucker? No, Otis. Yeah. Otis used the compactor and got the pinfall.
How about that?
And Bobby Roode got mad at Chad Gable. So showing the seeds of discontent again.
Split them up, turn Roode heel.
Gable and Shelton Benjamin as a tag team, and have Bobby Roode go for the title.
I would have Gable be sort of like the next Kurt Angle. Really, he could pull it off. He's funny enough.
Anyway, let's see. They did a 2-on-1 handicap match with Braun Strowman versus the two guys that I don't even know if they got announced. They got names. Again, I watched it on Hulu, so it could have been cut out, but it didn't seem like it didn't matter anyway. So he beat him up. The crowd said, "Do it again," and so he did. He gave him power slams. He picked him at the same time, gave him another power slam, got the pinfall, and that was it.
Yay!
They had Bobby Lashley in the ring. Charlie talked about something. I don't even like. Again, fast forward. Leo Rush was talking, and then they cut. I stopped at some point. Leo Rush starts talking about Finn Balor, talked about the Demon. Bobby Lashley's like, I don't care about the Demon. Finn Balor's the Demon. It's not like they're two separate people. I've defeated Finn Balor. It doesn't make any difference. They cut to the TV screen, and there's Finn Balor, and apparently he's at an opium den in Chinatown because there's smoke all over the place. Maybe he's at Kane's house. I don't know. But then he talked about how, WrestleMania, it'll be different because this time he's going to face the Demon, my demons or your nightmare or something like that. And the smoke overpowers everything and it comes back and he's in the face paint and he sticks out his tongue. And then it cuts back to the two guys in the ring and they're both kind of staring at it like, huh. Like they're not scared. They're not impressed. They totally did not sell the Demon gimmick. And by the way, again, for the record, I hate the Demon gimmick. It looks so dumb. But anyway,
I like it. The only part that I hate is that headdress thing that he wears. That's what takes me out of it.
The fake dreadlock.
Yeah,
looks like he went to one of those head shops, got a Jimi Hendrix poster and one of those fake dreadlock hats. Yeah. This is what actually, again, WWE, for whatever reason, had to throw something on Raw instead of hyping up the question of could it or could it not be the Demon, whatever. They do this dumb thing on the screen. What they should have done, WrestleMania, you've got Bobby Lashley, Leo Rush come down to the ring. They announce Finn Balor, bunch of smoke. You see the silhouette of the back of Finn Balor with the light shining through. He's just in the leather jacket. You can see he's normal, nothing different. Then all of a sudden the light goes out. It pops back on. And what they do is they do the trapdoor thing. They have a stand-in. So the trapdoor Finn Balor drops, the light turns back on, and there he is in full Demon gear. Dead run straight at the ring.
And the way that his music actually is at the beginning, because it's like a dun, 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 dun. And you can extend that, and they've done it before in NXT. Have it do the dun, dun, and it's like a strobe effect showing him standing there. and then like have it black, and then have a strobe effect still there, and then do that, and then when it does it, and then it's just like he's there.
Right.
Perfect. They won't do that
again. Something we booked better. They showed a clip of the Gronk. Is that his name? Is that what it is? The Gronk?
Ron Gronkowski.
Yeah, I know, but isn't his nickname the Gronk? Is that what they call him?
Well, they call him Gronk. Yeah, why not call him the Gronk? That'd be funnier.
So they showed him attacking Jinder Mahal, and they said, of course, he's going to be there at WrestleMania.
Oh, yay! Can't wait.
Now is when we got Corbin Burnson versus Rey Mysterio.
The main event finally.
This
almost
was the main event. So this was almost 15 minutes.
I can't believe that this was the main event, the final segment.
This was the go home.
I can't believe it.
They showed Corbin Burnson. He beat up Ray. Ray went for the 619, missed a frog splash. Tried for another comeback, but that's when Corbin picked him up, hit him with the power bomb, the deep six, rolled him up 1, 2, 3, gets the win, turns around. There's Angle, kicks him, Angle slam. Corbin Angle goes for like the angle lock, and Corbin gets he like taps out, but they separate him. He gets away, gets on the ramp. Corbin's like laughing, smiling. I beat him, ha ha ha, whatever. And then they showed a replay of all the stuff that happened with Charlotte and Becky and Ronda. And that's the show. Actually, technically, the main event was a replay of what happened with the women earlier. So I'm guessing what happened was they weren't sure how long that segment was going to go because there's so much stuff and there's no overrun anymore. They did it earlier in the night, so then they can make the video package to show off. Yeah. So
that was Raw, man.
That was Raw.
Terrible.
One thing I did notice on SmackDown this week is Daniel Bryan's belt is missing some of the stones. Some of the river rock has already started to fall out. The glue is giving way. So I'm guessing that belt is not going to last another week. Just throwing it out there. I don't think it's.
I mean, I want Kofi to win, but wouldn't it be hilarious if Bryan retained and kept the belt and just kept gradually falling apart?
There would be a certain level of enjoyment to that, but it's the same enjoyment I get from just watching WWE implode week after week, which is I don't want to watch WWE anymore. All right, but look,
SmackDown is once again the best show of the week.
It was, and so here's the thing: like I didn't watch it. Like Monday, I tried to watch it live. I got about 10 minutes into it. I turned it off. So then Tuesday, I had a lot of other stuff going on. I sat down Tuesday night. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yep.
Wednesday, I tried to watch it during the afternoon when I was uploading some of the comic previews to the website, but I just couldn't do it. Last night, I had stuff going on. I was at church, and the friend who I watched WrestleMania with was there, and he's like, "Oh man, Kevin Owens show on SmackDown last night," and I was like, "I didn't see it. I haven't watched it yet." He was like, "Well, I'll tell you, that was probably the highlight of the night, and it happens in the first segment." And I was like, "Oh, well, yay," and then boo.
Yeah.
But he said it was really good, so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm kind of looking forward to that. So then this morning, I wake up like 7:00 this morning. I'm gonna watch 3 hours of Raw and SmackDown on Hulu. And then I'm like, I got to get through this Raw in order to watch SmackDown. And so that's when I'm like, I'm watching the Hulu. I'm not watching the YouTube TV, and I'm just going to fast forward. And I fast forwarded through a lot of stuff on Raw. So then on SmackDown, I ended up kind of continuing and fast forwarding through stuff. But I will say the Kevin Owens show. Okay, so what they do is he brings out AJ Styles and he brings out Randy Orton. And of course, he gets right in the middle. And he starts talking about how they, keep throwing these personal barbs at each other. And so, so Randy Orton is talking about how, you were working in bingo halls and gymnasiums for dozens and dozens of fans while I was doing WrestleManias. And AJ Styles goes, yeah. And while I was working hard and proving myself, you were getting suspended from WWE for drug test failures. Which, as soon as he said that, Kevin Owens was like, later, and he just left the ring and walked away. He was right. That was
also a damn shame that Kevin Owens doesn't have a place on this Mania card. I don't know if they're going to just shove him in the Battle Royal. Give him something to do, please, on the show. He deserves it.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yes, he does deserve something. I'm almost afraid they'll have him out there with Alexa Bliss. It'll just be the two of them as like she's the host and he's her toady, you know? Because she even name dropped him later in the night, which makes me wonder if something's going to happen with him.
Maybe do a thing since Mysterio is injured. Have Kevin Owens take his place in the United States title match against Joe. That'd be fun to watch them work. They haven't worked together yet, I don't believe. That'd be interesting.
So from the chat room, Delvis is saying they need more vanilla midgets just to make the shows more interesting with more move, counter move, actual wrestling. So AJ Styles, technically, he called him a little vanilla midget. So yeah, so he's not actually saying, he doesn't want to bring back the SmackDown minis. I don't think that's what we're talking about.
No, I mean, honestly, I guess they would have to have a lot more taller, bigger dudes on their roster because again, flashback to Nash.
Go back to throwing in some squash matches with up and coming guys versus the established guys who get in one or two moves, then get squashed, but at least then they start to build an appearance in front of the crowd, as opposed to you just go, this is a guy from NXT that none of you have been watching, and now he's gonna have a match, you know. Yeah. And Delvis hates Kevin Owens. Sorry, man, you're wrong. Okay, we got a tag match. We got the Usos, who are now face because of what happened the week before. With Ricochet and Aleister Black against The Bar and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. This was actually kind of fun. It wasn't great, but it was still kind of fun to see them go. Cesaro ended up hitting Ricochet.
Cesaro and Ricochet.
Cesaro and Ricochet. He hit him with the uppercut. Usos hit the double super kick on Rusev. So all the faces got over all the heels. Alexa Bliss came out. Here she name dropped Kevin Owens. She talked about
that probably is what they'll do.
Yeah. She talked about how they forfeited their match against New Day next week, and so as their punishment, they will now be defending their SmackDown titles on WrestleMania against the three other teams that they just faced in this match. So, of course, it turned into a big brawl.
That match has the potential to be very, very good.
And Alexa Bliss now apparently is the hostess of WrestleMania. She can make matches. So, there you go.
Yeah.
They had the Iconics come down to the ring. So again, it was
yeah,
they're done.
I mean, I think they work very well as being annoying. It works.
Yes, they are.
It definitely works. They're doing their job.
Let's see. They had the Miz come out to cut a promo. Oh, Shane Kim's out. So okay, we'll watch a little bit of this. He talked about how not only is he going to beat him up, but he wants him to see what he called the new screensaver on his phone. People, it's a wallpaper. It's a wallpaper on the back of your phone. A screensaver is what covers the screen to not show what's on your screen. That's the thing that comes up. That would be like the lock screen on your phone, not a screensaver on your phone. Yeah. And if it's on your computer, it would be the wallpaper. It's the background. But anyway, he said, here's my screensaver on my phone. And he showed the picture of him grabbing Mrs. Dad, who he said, when I grabbed that potato face or whatever he called him. So then, of course, he calls out Sanity. And they actually mentioned the fact that when Shane came out before and had the security guards blocking the ring and then had the wrestlers blocking, that Sanity was part of that group. So now Miz has to face a handicap match. It's him versus Sanity. Which, I mean, fine, whatever. The problem is Miz should not be defeating all three guys of Sanity, but of course he's going to because it's, you know.
Yeah, those guys, man. If I were them, I would just be like, all right, I'm done. I'm going somewhere else. Like,
Eric Young was actually more of a star in Impact than a star here in WWE.
Yeah. And Sanity was actually doing okay for themselves in NXT, and then they called him up.
Right. So he brawls with the guys. Miz brawls with the guys. He ends up, beating them all, whatever. He runs backstage, and there's Shane in the limo, smiling at him, puts up the window, and drives away. They cut to the ring, and they had neck tattoos out there. He called out Becky Lynch. She took the mic, and she left the ring and stood on the announce table, and she said, "I don't take orders from you. No offense. I take orders from the WWE Universe." And funny note here, when they cut to her at the announce table, they were actually kind of back where the crowd was, and you could actually see all the gear in the shelf underneath the announce table where they have the like power supplies and the feeds coming through for the monitors and for the mics, boosting the mics and the amplifiers for the headsets and whatever. And it's funny because when you see them wrestle and they wrestle and go out to the announce tables, you can tell a lot of times that gear isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny that now you know what to look for when they go out. You can see, are there blinking green lights under the announce table? Nope. Okay, then we know someone's going through that table. So anyway, she talked about the main event. She promised that everybody would see her as the double champ, and everybody cheered and whatever. So now we had a large mixed tag match. EC3, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Andrade, Zelina Vega, Lana, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, Shelton Benjamin versus Nikki Cross, Heavy Machinery, Naomi, the Hardys, R-Truth, Carmella, and Asuka. So
poor Asuka, you were a champion a week ago.
All these people that are going to be in these battle royal matches, sucks to be suddenly the Hardys, R-Truth, Asuka. You were people who all mattered a couple weeks ago,
right? Yeah,
and now you don't. So anyway, for whatever reason, you throw out 16 people in a mixed tag match, and it turns into all-out chaos, and the match breaks down and turns into a giant battle royal.
Oh boy,
who would have known? So anyway, it ended up being Asuka, Jeff Hardy in the ring. They eliminate everybody else. They hug, and then Asuka throws Jeff Hardy out of the ring. So she will not be winning the battle royal.
Nope,
sucks. We got Samoa Joe versus Ali in the non-title match. And it was a match that was fine. It was nothing special. It was a non-title match, so they didn't do anything too terribly crazy. Joe needs a haircut. He looks really weird with the groin, like the back fro. I'm now calling it, because his hair is like naturally curly and he usually shaves it. But now he's letting the back grow out, but not the front. So it's kind of like a mullet, except it doesn't grow down long.
I think it seems like it's all like slicking back together. I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. I'm all right with that. I think it looks cool.
But to me, it looks like the front is still getting cut short and the back is growing out, and it's just creating this back fro of hair. So
I mean, Samoa Joe the mullet, I'd be all right with that.
Delvis is saying that Eric Young is actually a pretty good wrestler. And yes, he is. Again, he was much more of a star in Impact.
Yeah, it's a shame that they have all these talents and they don't want to showcase them properly.
All right, so main event of the show was the contract signing, Kofi and Daniel Bryan. So, of course, Daniel Bryan's in the ring with Rowan. Michael Cole is there. They call out New Day.
Why was Michael Cole there? He didn't need to be.
Because they need an official in the ring for the contract signing.
Michael Cole, though? I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, it's better than him being on commentary, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So let's see. New Day comes out. Michael Cole says, Kofi, you asked for a few moments to talk about, and then suddenly Daniel Bryan jumps in and he wants to talk, and he wants to talk about how he's seen this whole thing happen before where the crowd gets behind people and they all chanted yes, 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 and now none of them will listen to me, and I'm trying to educate you people and I'm trying to help you people and blah 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 blah. So then Kofi stands up and starts yelling, and he's like, you're right, I have seen it all before, except you've seen something that I haven't seen, and that's being at the center of all this. And when I look at you, I can tell that you're scared, because you can tell I'm a better wrestler than you, and the people like me more than they ever liked you. And come at WrestleMania, I'm going to take your title. And Kofi signs his name on the thing and slaps it shut and hands it to Michael Cole, and Michael Cole gets the heck out of the ring as fast as he possibly can. And the two of them stand up and they do a face-off, and the show goes off the air.
You are leaving out the important part of every time it cut to Big E, he was doing something silly.
Oh, yes. Big E kept doing the little hip thing, his little grinding.
Which is fine, but at the same time, too, with Kofi cutting the promo that he did, it's kind of
should have been a little more serious.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Although Big E did send out a tweet this week.
Yeah.
That you sent me. And he said, I like to think of SmackDown as the mouthwash that rinses out your mouth after the turd that Monday Night Raw is. And then he put a couple spaces and he goes, I think I can get away with sending this. And if not, I've been hacked. So
I love Big E. He's a national treasure.
So look, here's the thing. WrestleMania is this Sunday.
Yep.
The whole premise of our show has been follow the road to WrestleMania. I have not watched wrestling intently for a couple years in WWE. I usually kind of keep track of the road to WrestleMania, but not watching all the shows. Yeah. This year we watched Royal Rumble. We're watching through WrestleMania and the aftermath. And I'm sitting here. WrestleMania is 3 days away at this point.
Yes.
I really don't care. Like of all the matches at WrestleMania, sure, I'd like to see Kofi win. That'd be nice. I'd like to see Becky win. That'd be cool. I really don't care about anything else on this show. I really do not.
AJ Styles, Randy Orton, I think will be good.
Okay, here's the thing with that. AJ Styles, Randy Orton could be a good match. The problem is it's going to depend on how motivated Orton is to have a good match.
Yeah.
AJ Styles can have a good match. AJ Styles will want to have this be a good match. Randy Orton, though, is the guy. If he's motivated and he goes out there, it'll be a 5-star match. If Randy Orton's not motivated and he just goes out there and he's like, well, AJ will carry me through it. I don't care. I've got a contract. I'm making lots of money. I'm going to retire after this and never do anything again. Anyway, what difference does it make? Then it's not going to be a great match. Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio. I'd like to think those guys are going to give it their all, but at the same time, it's for a title that doesn't matter. It's going to be somewhere on the card where it gets completely buried. It might be fun to watch, but I honestly, they didn't do anything to build up the feud.
Yeah.
So I don't really care about the match. It'll be nice to see those two wrestle, but I don't really care about the match. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's so many of these matches I don't really care about.
I just counted it, including the Battle Royals, 15 matches on this card. 15. Just let that sink in for a second. Man.
6.5 to 7 hours.
Yeah. I if I didn't want to entirely waste my Sunday, because I am going to be skimming through a lot of this, I was gonna be like, Joe, Tyler, I'm not going to do Fans of Power this week because Dirt and I are going to sit and do a live stream, and Dirt and I are going to watch this together. Yeah,
I am not live streaming because look, this was a brand new bottle when we started doing the show. Okay. You see, this is 750 milliliters of this whiskey when we started doing the show. When I'm done with WrestleMania, this will be empty. I'll probably have a bottle of moonshine that'll be empty. And I might go through a 12-pack of Stella Artois by the end of the night. And then I'm still going to have Raw and SmackDown to go through.
So what you're saying is what we should do is we're watching the show. I'll record Fans of Power for them, but I won't be on that show, and I'll be watching Mania. And then when it's over, we just do an aftermath show, and you'll be really drunk
and angry,
and it'll be awesome.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know, because
I don't even know if I could subject. I would have to just have the network here on my computer and watch it. There's no way I'm going to subject Emily to.
And the thing is, like, I know this show, I am not going to be able to sit and watch this show. I'm not going to be able to sit and stare at the TV
and watch the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm going to take my laptop. I'm going to play some 7 Days to Die while I'm watching. Maybe I'll try out, there's some new game I wanted to try out. It's Day Zero or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Into the World Apocalyptic. I may try that out while I'm watching SmackDown. I may be posting comic previews to the website. I'm like, there's a dozen things that I may be doing while the show is going on, and none of those dozen things are intently watching WrestleMania, because it's at least 6, maybe 6.5, maybe 7 hours, a half hour of which maybe they've gotten me to care about, which is pretty standard for the way it's been the last couple of years.
Right.
Let's see, from the chat room, this WrestleMania will be the equivalent to the Super Bowl. No one cares who wins. They're just glad it'll be over, so maybe next year will be good. I don't watch the Super Bowl. I guess that's. I
haven't watched the Super Bowl in a long time.
The last time I watched the Super Bowl, it was because the Chicago Bears were playing against the Patriots, and the Super Bowl Shuffle was out. And
it was that long ago.
And the kid who lived 2 doors down from me was a huge fan of the Bears, and he really wanted to watch the Super Bowl. So we had a big TV, and we had a room we called the playroom. It was like this old bedroom that had been added on to the back of our house before we bought it. But it was poorly insulated. It was cold in the winter. It was hot in the summer. But we had this extra room, so we called it the playroom. That was the room that had all the toys in it, so that, us as kids could go in there and play. We had this giant tube TV set up in that room. So he asked if he could come over and watch the Super Bowl on that giant tube TV that we had. So we sat there and we watched the Super Bowl. That was the last time I watched the Super Bowl.
And that was
the first time I watched the Super Bowl. And that was 84, maybe?
No.
I don't know when that was. Chicago Bears in the Super Bowl. I know it doesn't happen.
86.
86. Okay. Yeah, that was the last time I watched the Super Bowl.
Hey, at least Mongo was on that roster, right? Steve McMichael. Is he on that roster?
I couldn't tell you. Jim McMahon and Walter Payton, I know were on there. And the Super Bowl Shuffling crew. Shuffling on down, doing it for you. All right. Anyway, guys, that's doing it for this show.
Wait. I thought you had an email you had to read.
Oh crap, yeah. It's already kind of late. So we'll go through this kind of quick. But the question, this was from Randy. And Randy wanted to know AEW coming up, they're offering a lot of wrestlers contracts. There's going to be a lot more competition, of course, from ROH and Major League. And we just saw a large lawsuit from Lucha Underground talking about contracts that people have been signing. Do you think it's time for wrestlers in WWE to form a union?
If Randy, honestly, I would suggest you to check out Jared. I don't know if you saw it, but the John Oliver talked about WWE on the show.
I'm sure that's why it's coming up again. Yeah. But here's the thing. Okay, one, I don't think a union is the right idea. The problem with making a union is that you have to. It's collective bargaining, so you have to assign people into titles, and then everybody within that title is within a pay range, and so you not only do you guarantee people are going to make a minimum, but you also put a limit on their maximum. And in order to go above that maximum, you have to go to the next title. And in order to get that next title, you have to pass some sort of test or interview or whatever to make it to that next title. The problem is when you try to downgrade to a lower title, because guys in a wrestling career, your career goes up and down. Once you come down, the problem is if you're a guy who you have this chance to be at the top, and so you're at the top and you're in a top tier job, and then they're done with you. They don't have any storylines. You're not going to take a demotion down to a lower title. You're still up at this title. They don't have anything for you. You're fired. You're out. They're not going to extend your contract. You're done. Whereas if they were to do something like an association, if they made an association for the wrestlers, then they could do things like someone's in a feud, right? You're in a feud with the Undertaker. It's say we're going to do Undertaker versus Ric Flair. Okay, so you have two guys, big guys, going into the match. Now, Undertaker, of course, as the face, is getting a lot more of attention than Ric Flair as a heel, okay, of the two of them in a match. Now, people still love Ric Flair. It's kind of a bad example, but I'm just using this because these are names people are familiar with. But when it comes to selling merchandise and it comes to selling T-shirts and posters and autographed belts and whatever, the face is going to be higher up. So he's going to be making more income from the company because he's selling more merchandise. With an association, what you can do is you take the other guy who's the heel, and what you can do is say you split. So whatever merchandise they sell for the two of them, they can split equally between the two because they're both part of that feud.
Right.
Now, again, Ric Flair and Undertaker is a bad example, but the idea is when you have a guy, you have the two guys in this feud, when you have a younger guy who's a smaller guy who's kind of getting pushed up, and especially if he's getting pushed up as a heel, he's not selling merchandise like the face is. So the face is selling all this merchandise, and it's selling because you have this hot feud. Something like an association can help with the other guy in the feud get some of those
I don't know. Yeah, that gets a little weird and murky. I think the main thing to focus on is and I know AEW is wanting to try to do this, so we'll see how it works out, but they need to just find a way to have put in place a universal like healthcare system put in place for these guys. So like,
yeah, but they can't afford it. They can't do it right off the bat. It's one of those things, maybe in a few years, and people will go, well, look at the NFL. NFL does collective bargaining and they have healthcare and blah, blah, blah. But that's the NFL of 2019.
Yeah.
If you look at the NFL of 1972, if NFL 1972 was trying to do these things, there'd be no NFL. WWE maybe could be at the point where they could do that today, but WWE could not have done that 20 years ago.
Right.
If they had tried to do it 20 years ago, there'd be no more WWE.
Yeah. I'm totally behind the thing that they don't need to be referred to as independent contractors. Like if they're with WWE, that's WWE's employees. They're not independent contractors. Yeah. They need to get rid of that language and find a way that benefits everybody, especially when they're done with it. Because the NFL has like that legacy thing where like older players can come and get what they need. They need wrestlers as well.
And a lot of it that can play into WWE Legends contracts and things like that. But
yeah, exactly.
But like I was reading something recently, Scott Steiner, a year or two ago, whatever, they offered him a Legends contract. He took it to a lawyer. The lawyer looked at it and said, don't ever sign this. Yeah. Because the things that WWE asked for in this contract are things that you should never give up. There's so many rights that you give away to the company just because of who WWE is. And part of that is the way that that's the one thing that's kind of saved them and made them profitable over the years, because when they have down periods, they're not like WCW. WCW having a down period and suddenly they're hemorrhaging all this money because everybody has guaranteed contracts and everything's union. And, the guys who come like Heenan was talking one time in WCW, you'd see a guy laying down an audio cable and then he's waiting for the other guy with the tape to come down and tape down the audio cable. And so Heenan, one of the first times he's there, he goes over, grabs a roll of tape, and he starts pulling off the tape to help the guy out. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Like, he's in a union. That's his job. His job is to tape. If you come down and try to tape, the union's going to say, you're trying to take away his job. You're trying to get his title. So the union says you cannot do that. So there do come points where, you get to this point where you're losing all this money, but because of the way the union structure is, it's just going to put you out of business because there are all these crazy rules that come with it. You're not making money. you end up in a hostess situation. If you remember hostess, all the bakers and everything, they were like, we're going to unionize. You have to pay us this much. We're all going on strike. And they said, okay, well, we're out of business. And they went into bankruptcy and sold the recipes to a new company. So, I mean, it just happens. So there are times when unionizing can work for some people in some situations, but it really works when you're in a situation where everybody needs to be at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
In something like wrestling, where you have guys moving up and down, and you have these dips and these raises, you need to be more flexible than the type of thing that a union structure will usually do. And so that's why I say something like an association works better, where you can try to even things out as you go and negotiate these contracts, as opposed to union, where it's like you're stuck in this spot and you can't move out of that spot. And any attempt to try to, do anything else can cause these other problems.
Right.
So that's, I don't think union is the right way. I think there are other things that they can use. Yes, there needs to be some sort of agreement, some sort of coming together. The problem is with something like wrestling, some of these guys, they're never going to go on strike. They're never going to walk out on the company. They're taken care of already. Vince has already put the top guys in these great situations. So if all the undercard guys say, well, we're going to band together and we're going to walk unless you give us what we want, they're going to say walk, because we've got a ton of other guys we can bring in, and these guys at the top, they don't care.
I mean, their roster has over 200 people with the main roster in NXT, so it's not like okay. So
if everybody who doesn't have a title in WWE said we're going to go on strike and we're going to walk, then guess what? All the NXT and 205 guys are suddenly on Raw and SmackDown. So, all right.
What a way to end the show.
Wrestling is just its thing. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for the show. That's going to wrap it up. I don't know if my liver is going to be able to take WrestleMania, but we'll see.
Dude, you'll be fine. I feel like I could kill that bottle in a night easy.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yes, it will be gone. The question is, what else is going to chase it? So, anyway, shout out to Joe Amato.
Oh, hey.
And so anyway, that's good. Oh, don't forget, you can call our 24-hour voicemail line. Let us know what you thought of WrestleMania. Call our voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. Again, 217-953-4025. You can leave a voicemail on our voicemail line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can send an email, dirt@thepopc.com. Or thepopc.net, I'm sorry, or dirt@popculturenetwork.com, or Twitter @PCN_dirt, or you can go to bit.ly/T, TC podcast. You can go to my YouTube channel, Pop Culture Network YouTube channel. You can go to Nathan's Facebook page. You can send him a message at the Beyond Retro YouTube channel. There's plenty of ways that you can get a hold of us, so don't be afraid to do so. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
I can't wait to watch Beefcake's Hall of Fame speech. Not really.
Oh, man, you had me for a second.